Should we get started?
Yeah, hard.
Sweet. Welcome to the BMI Podcast, guys.
Welcome.
Today we've got a good topic, I think.
Right.
I think it's probably a topic that a lot of people struggle with, and it's the fear of failure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, interestingly, what sparked that one for you?
Well, because we went to the David Goggins, the what's it called, like seminar sort of thing, like a conference. That's it, the David Goggins conference, and we pretty much that seemed to be the underlying issue that every speaker got up and talked about. Like it's taking action. A lot of people's reason why they don't fulfill their dreams or their goals is because of the fear of failure. Like there was so much in there, and that's sort of what I pulled. And when I reviewed my notes and stuff that I took during the conference, that seemed to be a thing. Then I wrote down, like take action, fear of failure, don't worry about what others think of you, like they're all sort of related to that fear of failure. Like it's not taking action because you're worried of other people's opinions, because you're worried that you're maybe not good enough, and you're just afraid of other people's judgment, which is that fear of failure.
Well, I think like fear in general, whether that's of failure or even success sometimes, fearing even succeeding and not feeling as though you'll be adequate or good enough, I think is a big paralyzer for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I remember this quote from Jung. I think I've brought it up in the past, but this goes like, the spirit of evil is negation of the life force by fear, and only boldness can deliver us from fear, and if the path is not taken, the meaning of life is violated. And, in essence, it's like fear is that barrier that's going to prevent you from actually living your life to the fullest. And actually boldness is the action that you take to overcome that fear. Yeah. And quite often when you can reflect on actually what am I avoiding or what am I fearful of, like that's probably the growth opportunity that lies in front of you right now. And it probably changes over our lifetime. Or we might be still battling the same fucking archaic fears that we've always been battling with, but if we haven't overcome them.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it's in the book. I'm back reading The Courage to Be Disliked, because I didn't really read it properly. I was reading it in the coffee cart, and I was sort of just picking it up and just going back to it, but not really taking any of it in. And I remember thinking, I was like, I need to read this properly, and I'm doing 75 hard again, and I was just like, I'll pick that back up and see if it sparks anything for me. And that's sort of, they talk about that, that courage to be disliked. It's kind of linked to that, what was it, Jung's, his phrase, it's pretty much, it's like you have, what does he call them? Life's tasks. Like there's, I think is it Adler's? Adler. Yeah, he's some of his things are like you have life tasks, and then life lies, and then all of these things like life's lies are, like everyone is paying attention to you and all of this, and like, but that's in your own head. That's one of life's lies, and that's where I think that fear of failure it's worth talking about for the people out there. They probably think, like everyone's worrying about you. You have that, I guess you think you're the center of the world, when like it's the same going on for that person next to you. They think they're the center of the world, and they're worried about their insecurities, and they're like, like I remember when I was fat, I'll be pulling my top, and I'll be pulling, making sure that none of my top is sitting on my rolls or something like that. But no one's looking at that. They're only looking in the mirror past me to look at themselves and see whatever their insecurities, and them correcting that, whether it's their hair or anything like that.
100%. And it's like I say, like they're very paralyzing in of themselves, and a lot of our growth opportunity, I think, lies in there. And when we were talking about goals last week, like part of those goals, for them to actually be meaningful enough, there needs to be a fear component. Like you need to have that, oh shit, I don't know if I can achieve this. Because if it's not there, it's not likely going to be motivating enough to actually get you to see that through. And that's because there's power, there's energy, there's momentum and in that fear. And it's because you have to overcome something. And it's the fact that you haven't overcome something in the past, which is why you're still there battling with that goal, trying to achieve it in the first place.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because they talk about it. is what it's called, negating or moving away from one's tasks. Like I'm only just speaking like this because that's how the book is sort of talking, but like I guess your one's task is like like if you've got a goal, there's some basic boxes that you got to check on a daily basis if you want to ever get to your goal. And I think like a lot of people are avoiding them, worrying about those little nuance boxes that they need to tick, when realistically you're trying to tick off these other little boxes to make you feel like you've done something towards your goal, but you actually deep down know that you've actually avoided the main boxes that need to be ticked, so that you feel like you're making progress, but realistically you were just sort of lying to yourself, one of the life lies,
Which is like, and if a lot of times your goals don't have that fear there, you are kind of just, you're ticking, what do we say last, like the mental masturbation, you kind of like, you're doing the work without really doing the work. And it's, yes, you're ticking off something on that list, you're progressing towards somewhere, but it's almost like a false sense of progression, because it's not actually the progression in the direction that you should be going, because you're avoiding that due to the fear that's in the way.
Well, like, that's what I'm doing with the podcast. Like I've realized I've sort of not put it in the back burner. I still wanted to do it, but I was avoiding doing the things, and I've reached out to multiple other influencers that are doing podcasts, and just putting it out there. Put, like, we talk about the power of the ask, and I need to be actively practicing that myself. I can't just be putting it out there saying to others you should be asking. There's so much power in the ask, and the only thing you can get is just a no. Like that's where I realized I've been avoiding, just out of, I guess, fear of judgment, because I think I was comfortable with us two catching up and we could sit within that cocoon, but then I'm not really evolving. And we talked about it in the earlier days, how we wanted to, well, me particularly, I wanted to meet more like-minded people, and then and then also help others, and like I really think we've been doing good for that part, but I really need to step out and actually meet new people, or even just like you meet new people just so you can learn ways to do this better. Like it's trying to, I think I was caught up getting all of these things done because I'm worried that it's got to be perfect, and before I start bringing people through, it just doesn't matter like that. It's more, people probably come in and be like, oh, well, what you've done so far is more than good enough, and like, it's just, it was that fear of failure, or that fear of the rejection,
Was there a moment that kind of, like, was it while you were journaling or reading or meditating or anything like that? Was there a moment that kind of like, that moment of realization came, where it was like, oh, fuck, like...
Sort of a moment. It's like, so me and Judith, we talk quite a lot. And when we go on our walks, and it was just sort of an afternoon, and I was just like, all right, like, we've talked about the creating of content. We've talked about me branching out. We've talked about, like, we've done all of the talking. I said to her, like, I need your help. Like I said to her, like, I need you to, because I think I respond well to, like, you said you're going to do this, you're all shit. I need her to be on my case. And I said, we need it, because it's also for her as well. I was like, we need to create content. We need to be getting better at this, because we need to go through that cringe before we get to the binge. We need to make sure that we're getting, we're fine tuning it, and we just got to do it. And I just said to her, I need your help. I need you to ask me, like, hey, did you do that thing you were going to say, or did you record that video? So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is just literally do the actual actions. And even though there's still, like, it's clear when I'm doing these videos that I'm trying to create, I am still worried about that fear of failure, or the judgment of others. But at least I'm still getting a bit better at talking to the camera, because like, there's the guy that I'm going to get on, actually, he mentioned just pick up the camera and record them. You don't even need to post them, just record them. And get used to that part. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
I was going to say, like, was there a how did you get beyond, because I know you mentioned it when we first started recording, like, about just even talking in front of a camera. What was the process? Because I guess a lot of people have those same blockages in terms of getting towards, fear will be blocking them from their own progression somewhere. And so at some point we have to overcome that.
Yeah.
But how do you do that when it's at the certain point almost monumental?
I guess like it's always just going to come down to when you're ready. You can just try and I guess build your confidence up, or sort of I guess hype yourself up a little bit, or anything like that. And because like we said, we ultimately know what we think we need to do at least, but like it's actually going and actually starting. And I think like just try to get content, like I guess like people just say, oh, that positivity content and all of that sort of stuff does no good. It's like, well, for me, it's more like I kind of look at these creators and I go, man, that's awesome what they're doing. And then I'm changing my wording, the way I say. I was just like, oh man, that person talks to camera. Like one day I'm going to talk to the camera like that, but I have to start doing it. And it is hard. Like if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah,
like
it wouldn't be fearful.
Yeah, that's right. And it's I guess you got to just start with that baby step. Like the other day I did one where I was just filming, driving off to go and look at cladding for my development. And just sort of I thought to myself, oh, like here's a little idea, and just thinking about like why I'm taking so long to choose the right cladding and like putting in that extra effort. I was like, maybe I'll talk to the camera and then spread that, because like it's also thinking about future value. So like some people, I got all my prices and they would normally go for the best bang for buck sort of option, versus you can weigh it up and be like, well, think about it in a 5 to 10 year term. Like, do you want to be the same as everyone else when your property's coming to the market and their property's coming to the market? And then you thought into the future, and you go, oh, actually I'm going to spend a couple $1,000s extra on my cladding so I get the nicer profile on the cladding, and then that sort of makes you more favorable over your competition that down that line. And I thought to myself, I need to actually speak this to the camera, and so I just thought I'd just give it a go, and then I just recorded it. It always is a bit rough when like it was a bit I was a bit jittery and umming and ahhing, and but once like it's just a practice sort of thing. You just got to practice and practice.
Well, and the whole baby step thing is literally psychology 101. It's like identify where you're kind of, I think we talked about the zone of proximal development. Know where that kind of zone lies. Where are you comfortable? Where are you not comfortable? And where are you really not comfortable to a point that will kind of drive you in the opposite direction? And okay, well, if you know where you're comfortable, what lies just beyond that? What's the small step that you can take that lies just beyond that? And there's your zone of proximal development. And that might be, finding, there was a video, I can't remember what the actual video was titled, but it was one of Cal Newport's one. He did it was the monk mode episode that we did.
Oh, yeah.
Deep Work. He wrote the book Deep Work.
Oh, yeah.
But it was one of his YouTube videos anyway, Cal Newport, and he kind of talked about, essentially looking for content or looking at other people doing the thing that you want to do to kind of make that seem more realistic. And especially like, okay, not looking at I'll use football.
Yeah.
Or not using a bodybuilder, like not looking at Mr.
Olympia
as the example and being like, oh, fuck yeah, if Mr. Olympia can do it, I can do it. It's like, no, he's a little bit too far out of reach for where you're currently at right now.
Not to say you can't get there, but you can't start there.
You can't start there. Not from where, like, unless you're already pro. If you're already pro, 100%.
That's your next step.
Yeah, look to Mr. Olympia. But if you're amateur or you're young and you're getting into bodybuilding or you're getting into whatever the avenue is, there'll be someone that's doing the thing that you want to be doing. There will be an in-between stage between where you are and where you want to get.
Yeah.
And look at that and see how realistic it is to do that thing. And just even by watching and consuming that content, you open yourself up to being able to, actually I can do that.
Yeah, because if you go too far, they've already got the base that you're wanting to build, right? Like, and I feel like some people would look at that and go, I'm never going to be able to do that. But like me trying to look at those guys that do the ultra marathon running, and then I look at my running and like it's so far fetched. You kind of already like you're kind of just throwing in the towel because you don't realize that all of them started in the same position that you started in. Like they just put in the work over the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I guess with the fear of failure, I thought for a question for yourself, because like starting a business, you know, like for you. Like, what did you have anyone that you were looking to just like that, where they were slightly ahead of you, or did you? How was that fear of failure going when you were thinking about starting your own business?
Yeah, so that was a life catalyzing moment. Honestly, there was actually at that point when I came to that decision, and you talked about kind of like getting to a place where it kind of just, you have to do it. You know, that energy that kind of like, fuck, the realization of I just have to make this step. It was literally that. Like there was times where I'd thought about it in the past, and I was reflecting on the times that it had been hard, and not that I had failed, but that I hadn't given it a full shot when I was PTing. Hadn't gone all in, and I still had a security, I still had a safety net there, which didn't lead to the drive. And so for me, I was kind of like, well, that was almost a failure moment.
Yeah.
You know, and to go and do this whole thing again for yourself is like, well, I've done it once before, but that was technically a failure. And I don't really have any success to kind of build upon. Like there was no, I can do this. Like I've proven to myself before that I can do this. Like I hadn't started and run a successful business before.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can pull upon that and be like, yeah, fuck, see, look, I did that again. All I had was failure at that point. And so getting to that place to be able to make that jump, it took about bloody 5 years. And in between that 5 years, it was pure comfort. And it was like, wow, like I said, I'm ticking the boxes of I'm doing the thing that I want to do, and not having to do any of the work to get the work to do the thing that I want to do. Yeah. And it was self-gratifying. It was like, fuck, this is awesome. Yeah. And then there comes
that's the trap that a lot of people get caught in.
Massive trap.
Yeah.
Massive. And it got to a point where, yeah, okay, like that business was taking a different direction. Obviously all the stuff got made redundant. And at the
life
time,
was kind of sort of going, come on, Matt, you've been thinking about it.
Correct. Because even at the time, I just finished reading Courage is Calling from Ryan Holiday. And he opens the book, or maybe Discipline is Destiny, one of the two anyway.
Yeah.
It's one of the
Discipline
three.
Is the way? Or, no,
Discipline is
Obstacle
Destiny.
Is the way.
Obstacle is the way. It was that one.
Yeah.
The trilogy of the Stoic books that he wrote, and the opening kind of paragraph or story to that book was Hercules and the Herculean choice. And he has a choice of vice or virtue, and the two kind of goddess nymphs kind of come down, one being vice, one being virtue. It's like you can take the hard road or the easy road, and the whole story of Hercules is taking the hard road. And that's why he's obviously so big and he can carry the world on his shoulders, because he took that hard road. And it was that just clicked. I was like, fuck, this is my Herculean choice. Like I've got the hard road or the easy road. I could reapply and get the same job that I've been doing for the past 5 years, and I know that I'd fucking get the job, because sorry if anyone is watching that was in their room, but I was the best one there. But I had confidence in my ability to do that job.
Yeah, which you have to ultimately take that leap. You know?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, I could have applied, and I could have got that job. I could have been in the same secure role that I've been in for the past 5 years, and that would have been easy. But I had the other choice, whereas actually that wouldn't serve me. Yeah, that wouldn't serve my growth. That wouldn't serve my development. And it was just this. There wasn't even really a thinking. It was just, as soon as that was the option, it was just this cluster of energy that was like, fuck. And it was more daunting than anything. It was just I didn't have to second guess the choice. Yeah. It was, fuck, this is the decision. And it was that dauntingness that kind of stumbled down at that point in time, where I was like, fuck, okay. And it was like, that's where fear had prevented me from taking that in the first place. But now the fear was real that I had to take that step, that it was like, oh my God, okay.
Because there's also another fear as well, that you fear that you're going to be there for another 5 years. 100%. So then that's where another fear would actually push you maybe over the edge as well. Yeah. Like there is a bit of a saying, or like there's a few influencers popping out some clips at the moment, and how they're talking about, choose your hard. Like you were like, man, this is your hard decision. It was like, well, realistically, it's either you choosing to go the hard route now, or you choose the hard decisions later, whereas you're not you're not in that position that you want to be.
100%.
Well, this plays into health quite a lot. Like choose your hard now. Like you want to be testing your body, you want to be pushing your body to remain healthy and fit, but not only that, just to go above just baseline, because if you're not actively, looking after your body, you deteriorate, and then that's choosing your hard later. So if you want to live comfy and cozy now, you know all of your problems will be only one problem, and that's your health, because it doesn't matter like down the line when you have all these other problems and then you actually get sick, because that becomes the number one problem. Because then all of those problems won't matter if you die.
If you're
fucking out of action, you can't go to work, or you can't, all of family problems, anything. Like it comes back down to that there. So it's like choose your hard. And I think that was maybe for you, like that was your, I guess, choosing your hard for the now, and like leaning into that with that fear of failure, and just knowing, oh, well, I could do that, or you could still be a failure 10 years later without putting your best foot forward.
100%. And even now, like, so you get to a place where that complacency still comes in. And, there's always that kind of shifting, that tectonic kind of shift that then happens, and that's like destabilizing, like, oh, fuck, like I don't really know where I'm standing, and it's a whole bit of chaos. Like everything's kind of just up in the air, and you don't even know where solid ground is at that point in time. And it's motivating almost to, it's motivating, but it's also taxing to try and stabilize the ground that you're on. But then once you've stabilized the ground, the trap is you've created more comfort in the uncertainty that already was. And now there's a pull towards actually you have to go back into unstable waters to grow again. And so now I'm in the position where it's like, fuck, you get, I don't know, you might have like a quiet week, or you have a quiet month in comparison to other months, and you're like, fuck, like that fear of failure comes back in, and you're like, oh my God, like if this continues, it's just gonna blow up again. And funny thing is, it's like you're more fearful of failing for the, like, what other people then think of you, rather than actually just the failure of itself. Like, and so then you become paralyzed again, and you start thinking about all of the bullshit of not being able to kind of like grow, or again seeing yourself fail. But it's like, at that point, what do? Do you take the anxiety and just live in that anxiety and just be like, oh fuck, like I can't do anything, like I'm not making any money, what am I doing? Or do you use that to actually, fuck, well, what do we need to do? Like, do we need to pivot? Do we need to do something different? Do we need to create another product? Do we need to up the value of the service that we're doing? Do I need to be better at what I'm doing? Do I need to make 5 calls? Do I need to make a video? Do I need to write a blog post? Like, what are the actions? And again, like you said at the start, we know what we need to do. It's actually just noticing. Like, I find that fear, when that fear starts to kick in, and you're like, oh fuck, like I don't know if I can do this thing. Ask yourself at that point in time, okay, what are the things that you can do? That's Stoic Principle 101, right? Do what you control.
Epictetus, right? Like it's
focus on what you can control.
Do with what you can with the tools that you've been given.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what is in my control at this point? What can I do? And just watch as the surge of momentum and motivation comes out, and you're like, fuck, okay. And you can use that. Like, there is some creativity in that too. Like, some of my best ideas have come after having some quiet as fuck weeks. Because it's like, you get to the end of those weeks and you're like, oh shit, like we can't keep having more weeks like this.
Yeah. Well, I talk to Judith about it all the time, and I said, like, we're too comfortable. I need a bit of pressure on me. Because that's when my mind starts to think. That's when I start to get creative. That's when I start to think of how we can grow, and the ideas, they bloom from that there, because ultimately you're kind of backing yourself into a corner, and then you've got to figure your way out. And then like I kind of like that, and I thrive in that area. And because sometimes like you can get caught in that moment, like you're saying, you're in that, you kind of graduate, and then you go back to a beginning stage, and then you graduate, and then you go back to a beginning stage, and that's how it is. And I think that's like the obstacle is the way. It's because once you get through that obstacle, there's a Haitian proverb, at the top of the mountains, there's more mountains because once they climb, they think they're there. Oh shit, there's more to go. Like
which I think like that's where that journey is, right? Like, and it's funny when you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint because obviously we're driven toward safety, like. And so everything we've done, when you think about like the room, right? We've created boxes that we can live in so that we're safe from the weather and the elements. We've created tools,
even though the weather and the elements made us more durable.
Yeah.
I get it. We're heading away from the obstacle.
Yep, exactly. And food, right? We've created food that's abundant and calorie dense so that we don't have to go through starvation periods. We've created water so we don't have to boil it and make alcohol out of it to make it safe to drink. Like everything we've done as a human race has been gone towards safety.
Yeah.
And that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like worry about your physical safety first, and then you can kind of progress towards self-actualization.
Yeah.
And we're at a funny time because we no longer have to worry about, well, we still have to sometimes worry about the safety of our homes, but we've got roofs. Those of us are fortunate to have roofs over our head. We've got food, especially if you're watching this video, you've got food and you've got shelter.
Well, you're in the top 5% in the world. If you're watching this video, you've got a phone.
Yeah.
Like, you have working internet, like we are very blessed, and like it is, and it's hard for people to probably conceptualize and hear, like all of these little steps and things. And it ain't going to be an overnight thing that you're just going to all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I'm over my fears. It's more, the more you listen to these sort of podcasts, the more you hear people talk about their life experiences, and you might be able to, that might pop up in your subconscious when you're going through that exact moment that they talked about. And then you go, oh, this is where I go, oh, lean into that. I might have to push hard here, or this is my fear of me wanting to back out. And I heard Mikey talk about how when he was starting his business and that popped up in your head, and then you actually take that action, you realize, because you said, oh, well, once I actually went through to it, there's no looking back, right? Like it tends, on the other side of fear tends to be the things that you are searching for or been trying to achieve. Like
there's
that
paralyzing
roadblock.
Moments and growth moments, and fear lies right in the middle of that. And it's which door do you open? Do you open it towards the paralyzed, or do you open it towards the growth? And this isn't just like face your fears necessarily. And again, like that's psychology 101 is gradually kind of progress there, or phobias and that type of stuff.
Yep.
But especially when it comes to making the steps or taking the steps that you know that you should take, but you're not taking them because you're afraid of not being able to meet up to that expectation. Run that marathon, lose 20 kilos, etc., start a business, buy a house, whatever it is, right? There's a reason that you haven't taken that action yet. And a lot of it is, well, you don't actually believe that you can do it. And behind that fear, and it's like, well, like I said, you either choose to go around in the same circle that you have been going around, paralyzed, or you can lean towards growth. And you have to go through that fear, understand where that fear has actually come from and why it's there in the first place to be able to actually even go through it and reach that side of growth. But yeah, like I said, for me, it was almost just catalyzing straight away. It was bang, surge of energy. Fuck, I need to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I hadn't read the book, like literally weeks prior to that, had got that same realization or something, I don't know. But
I strongly believe in life. It's sort of, life is constantly presenting you opportunity. And you can be training your mind to be always looking for the opportunity. You could probably trace back over those 5 to 10 years of being in the industry, you would probably find 5 to 10 opportunities that you could have jumped on to be to start your own business or something like that.
True.
I think the whether you believe in the universe providing for you or whatever you believe in, like I've always believed in opportunity and decisions, and I tend to have the mindset of always looking for opportunity. And because I've heard this many times in my life, it's like, oh man, you're lucky, right place in the right time. It's like, well, I'm trying to actively put myself in the right place when I think is the right time, and then the opportunities do come to me. Like I try to position myself as best as possible. And like I think with the fear of failure, that can be the crippling part where you're kind of, this opportunity comes and you're like, oh no, that's too difficult for me. I might fail at that. Where like is for me, the way that I've been getting ahead of lately is, it's my mantra for the year. Was embrace the difficult. Like that kind of leads into like there's so many things that I have done this year that I really didn't want to do that I've ultimately enjoyed. And like those opportunities are constantly knocking on, I think, everyone's door. Like I think everyone gets offered opportunities if you're listening, if you're paying attention, or if you're cruising through life and you're just sort of, you kind of haven't got that mundaneness about you, and you're kind of just not really paying attention, and you just want to get to the weekend. All of those opportunities are going to go past you. You might not even know that if you work hard, super hard, like maybe your manager comes in or one day that you haven't met before, that's, if you're in a corporate environment and they're not even a part of, you have never met them, you've never seen them in the team, and they come and this is your first dealing with them, and then you present yourself as best as possible, and then an opportunity could land there for you. But like that's kind of that mindset a lot of people are veering away from, and they're kind of choosing because of their fear that they just want to take that back step, and they just
they're
don't
closed off to those opportunities.
Yeah.
And I like there's was it, I don't know the actual percentage, but the vast majority of our consciousness or what we take in is unconscious, right? So we only might take in, I'm gonna say 5%, but that's a very plus minus, who knows, 20.
Yeah, 10, 15, I think, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We only take in a very small amount consciously.
Yeah.
The rest of what we're taking in is completely unconscious. Not that we're not taking it in, but we're not conscious of taking it in.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you open yourself up to those opportunities, and you're like, I'm going to say yes to more things, or I'm going to look for X, I'm going to investigate Y. You quickly realize how many of those actually stumble across your doorstep every single day.
Yeah.
But now you're aware of it because you've made them conscious.
Yeah.
They were already there. They were always going to be there, but you've now made them aware because you're looking at it. And I think a lot of the times we don't, and we do. We almost shun away from it, closing ourselves off to that opportunity. And so, of course, like we never take it because we were never open to looking at it in the first place. And if anything, actively trying to avoid it. And it's that avoidance, which is the fear, and that's the negation of the life force, right? Like if you want to depress your soul, it's like go away from those things that are actually fearful to you and that provide you with growth.
Yeah.
And it's just,
what is it? It's the comfort will be ultimately crippling for you.
Yeah.
Because you're too comfortable, and there's something within us as humans, I think, and we want to strive for a little bit more, like, and if you're denying yourself of that natural obligation. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, like Jordan Peterson's, one of his first rules, it was stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's like just putting yourself in that position to actually take on more of the world. You're going to show more confidence. You're then going to be able to hold conversations with people that you otherwise wouldn't have gone into those conversations with. That might open doors. Just the simple act of changing your posture is another version of looking for those opportunities. And that's because you're changing your perception of the world.
Well, like you brought up like that act, and that sort of swings back to when I was talking at the start about what I've written down about the David Goggins event, was take action now. And I think that's where I think the fear of failure can be very hard to overcome. The more you sit in it, the more some people, they're like, oh, well, I'm really meticulous and like I want to do out a pros and cons list. I was like, well, you're going to always talk yourself out of it. You're going to because something with, having is you got to take some risks to get it. If it was easy to obtain, it's not really worth having. Like it's sort of, it's not earned, sort of that concept. You need to take those risks, and that fear is like there. And I kind of like treat it as, okay, well, why am I fearful of that? I was like, does that mean I just jump? Like, do I lean into this? Like, and every time I get that little feeling in my stomach, and I've got it the other day, I'm getting close to locking up the build development, and like things are coming together for me, and then it starts building up this weird feeling of pressure inside of me. And we were walking with me and Judith, and I said, oh man, like something's coming, babe. And I don't like, cause it's all coming together. And now I'm starting to feel the pressure. I've got it all on me, but I'm like, well, that means that I'm getting to the top of my peak, and I was like, my things are all going to fall in place, and then the pressure will be lifted off me because of all the work that I'm putting in now is going to come to fruition.
That's what I mean. Like there is definitely some moral to those ancient stories. You know, you look at the Hercules in particular for this instance, right? Like how crazy is it? Like literally he is displayed holding the world on his shoulders, and like it's that exact thing that you're talking about, where it's just
it is. It's all of these things that you're compiling together, but you have the confidence, because I would not be confident, or I'll probably be like, oh, I'm going to fail, because I wasn't putting in the work. But I've been just going, all right, you've got this feeling, just keep fucking working at it. Just don't take no. I've gotten like five more no's on it, but I was like, don't take no. And it's led to the next branch for me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do it this way. And then I was like, oh, I got another no. Okay, well, maybe it leads to the next branch. And then I just keep going. Like, don't be discouraged when you get those no's, when you think that you've failed. Like, the failures come, like the fear of failure, like you got to ultimately know you're going to fail. But failure is what you want, because you're learning better ways to do things, so that you're learning the path, you know? Well,
and I think like fear is an emotion, right? Like, and it will be there. And really our task is to identify that it's there. And I think a lot of the time, again, probably much like hunger, we're reactionary to it. And so it's there, much like hunger. Hunger pops in. We're like, oh, fuck, I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat something. Like, we've taken out the thinking about hunger. Should I go and eat something, or do I need to go and eat something? And we've just made that an automatic habit. It's habitual. Hunger equals eat something. Same with fear. Fear equals run. Fear equals hide. Fear equals do nothing. Fucking scapegoat. Like, and it's...
Yeah, and a lot of people have probably played into that, right? And accepted that that's what your reaction should be when you get that, when it's quite the opposite. Well, other than safety. Like,
correct. Like, if a fucking tiger is in front of you, like, that's a pretty warranted fear. Like, probably don't run the other way, otherwise it will come for you, but slow.
I have no advice for if there's a tiger in front of you, so, like, that's on you. Like, if there's a tiger in front of you, I don't know what the fuck you're up to.
You're in the wrong place. But... you know, there's a task to notice it. There's a task to notice that the emotion is there, because that emotion is telling you something, and it's, you know, again, whether that's energy, universe, unconscious, whatever word you want to use, metaphor you want to use to describe that inert feeling that you get. It's an emotion, and that emotion is your unconscious, in my perspective anyway, your unconscious reacting to the world around you. Both conscious and unconscious. And so at that point, like I said, it's a task, and that's where I think meditation is so crucial, because the more you meditate, the more you realize, actually, I've got these opportunities to, I can see the emotions that are coming in. I can see the thoughts that are going all over the place, because emotions will lead to thoughts. And if you're catching those thoughts, okay, well, now I have the opportunity to start again or do something about it. And I think without it, like, again, we just fall into this hunger trap where we're just eating in response to any kind of grumbling in the stomach. Instead, when the fear comes in, it's like, oh shit, is this fear actually telling me something? Is there something to learn from this? Is there a tiger fucking in front of me and I need to get out of the way? Or is there a growth opportunity here? Am I the one actively avoiding this because of my own comfort circle?
Yeah, and that's where I keep, like, swinging back to my mantra for the year, is just like, just embracing the difficult. Like, I have yet to have one of them that I regret. Maybe there's a regret, like I've injured my knees. Like that could be a minor, I guess, negative that I could pull from that. But ultimately, I've kept that that mindset that I have from leaning into that. I was like, okay, so I'm still keeping fit. I'm still keeping on top of my diet. All of those things that were difficult actually built into me, you know, like I don't really regret any of that. Like, I've got a bit of an injury and I will be able to rehab it, you know, like every time I've leant into it, I've always sort of thanked myself for it. You know, it's like climbing a hill, you know, when you're at the bottom of the hill and you're looking up and you're like, gosh, man, this is going to take forever. Then you get what you think is halfway, and then you're like, oh yeah, about halfway, and then you see the halfway sign 10 minutes later.
It's like the hucks, eh?
Yeah, like it's sort of that, like it's you need to get over those barriers, and it's super hard, but once you lean into it, I think it's always worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And every time actually you bring that up, I think you brought it up twice, it reminds me of how I would normally address exercise. And so when I am exercising, I'm looking for that hurt. I'm looking for that point of slight discomfort where, here's not physical, like my knee is fucking in pain kind of discomfort, but my lungs are burning right now.
Yeah.
My muscles are telling me, this is quite sore. You should put this weight down.
I don't want to do one more rep.
I don't want to do that rep.
Yeah.
And I trained myself to look at that shit. And it was like, they often say it crosses over. And I'm like, it only crosses over if you're aware of it crossing over. Because it didn't cross over for about 5 years while I didn't make a business choice.
Yep.
It didn't cross over at all.
Yep.
I was looking for it, actively searching for it in physical training. But then I wasn't looking for it in other areas of my life. But now in seeing that, I can reflect on that and actually see like, okay, yes, like there is growth beyond discomfort.
Yeah.
And that's probably been the hallmark of just like starting a business is pretty good luck finding some comfort.
Yeah.
If you do find it, celebrate for that one day that it's there because it's going to be...
Yeah, it'll be very short-lived. Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's just there, but there is growth there. And there are lessons to be learned about yourself because a lot of the times that's a signal that you're not doing something that you otherwise should, or you've been a little bit naive in certain areas. And because of that, now you have the opportunity to fix it. And again, like, do you choose paralysis or do you choose growth? And at that point, it's right in front of you to work through and provide the growth.
I reckon that's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Sounds good.